Welcome back to the I Did It First podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Riley. And today's been a day. We
has.
have had over, how much caffeine would you say?
More than, is there a legal limit? More
Is
than
there
that.
a legal limit?
I don't know. I
When
doubt
you
it.
think about it, there probably should be.
Because no.
Like in the
There
same way,
should be,
in
yeah.
the same way that you can get cut off because you've been overserved at a bar.
Yes.
What if your gas station dude is like, no more, no more cute, fun energy drinks?
Because I can smell color right now. So.
We are in the hot seat. I don't really know. My brain's honestly spinning so much faster than I can.
It's mush right now.
We're talking about self-awareness today, and I just want to also, disclaimer, apologize ahead of time for all my sniffling
Oh.
and everything. I swear I'm not sick. I'm not spreading germs. It's just
I loved how
wind.
people used to say it
and
was like allergies when they were doing like other kinds of drugs.
people would say this.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is actually one time I was in the bathroom at Killarney's, and granted I know like environment, all of that, but I was blowing my nose and I was sniffling. And for anyone that knows me, my nose is so fucked up that I'm always sniffling. I'm always like,
I feel like I do that a lot
I'm
too.
always, but I was in the bathroom blowing my nose, sniffling, and this girl asks me if I was doing drugs and if she could share and come in the bathroom stall with me. And I was like, I'm not. She's like,
Allergies.
okay. And then she gets mad at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what just happened? And then when I came home to tell my mom this story, she's like, no, it's a thing, specifically at this bar too.
Oh yeah.
And I had no idea.
Well, you say you went. My first thought is you going into that bathroom was to buy drugs. That's
no.
usually
The only like small business that I support is Girl Scouts cookies. Just kidding. I love small business, but not like that.
Interesting.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. So this is a good one. When you brought this up to me, it was very good and very enlightening in like a quick minute, because I thought, wow, if I had actually spent some time on this very young, the amount of decisions I would have made differently just moving forward through life
Yeah.
would have been tremendous.
Huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I think we took that test, and I feel like, we'll talk
circle
about
back,
that test, but when it talked about our character types, and I thought, wow, that's me in a nutshell.
I agree.
And I think that just learning who you are and what you like, and they really are like the basic foundation for everything. And
No, fully. Like you think about it, it's literally the foundation of who you are. So to live in a world where you don't know, or you're kind of like, it's really black and white. It's not.
It is, but I think even as women, you grow up, you learn to be like adaptable, and I just go with the flow. Like that's actually a thing. And I think, that's one of the things I felt like to be more agreeable and adaptable was the right way to be, not realizing that just made me also extremely indecisive. And half the time I didn't know not like so big metaphor, like who am I, but like, what do I like? What do I want to do? Like what restaurant do I want to go to? I thought just being agreeable, but it turns out it's very frustrating.
That is like a green flag. Well, no, sorry. Something that's presented as a green flag, that's really not a green flag.
Because then you're just like indecisive, and you don't really have an opinion of your own.
But I think just from being young and growing up, society teaches us to adapt versus reflect.
Yes.
And if you reflect in on yourself and just like own your truth for what it is, and things you do like and what you don't like and what you will put up and won't put up with, like that will give you so much insight to who you are. And I know it sounds very basic, but we'll get into it. But I mean, we often like also overlook these basic things.
We do. And then that's why you'll go back and look at past relationships, and you're like, why did I do X, Y, and Z? Well, half the time I didn't even know what I wanted. How could I even look for that in someone else?
And
like,
you can't even hold that against
that's
someone
so
else.
real.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so what is something that, and we haven't talked about it together, but what is something that you convinced yourself of, like through whatever age, that you liked but really didn't like?
I mean, a lot of things okay, number one, I'll give you one. I think seeing certain live events, that was one thing. I feel like growing up, like going to see and this is going to sound horrible, but let me explain. Like going to see live music, like it's so cool and everyone does it. And I'm like, okay, unless I have like awesome seats and I'm with the people like I really want to be with there and seeing someone I really want to see, like I'm not just gonna go. And I'm sorry, like I would do that and I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go to a concert and watch someone on a big screen. I'm sorry if that's not the cool answer, but like I spent a lot of years going, yeah, I'll totally go and meet all. I'm like, why am I fucking here? Why did that cost me $150? Like,
And then you're just miserable.
and I'm just not happy, but it was like the right thing. Like I didn't want to not be the only one that didn't want to participate.
And isn't that the worst too? Because I have some friends, like shout out Hannah. Hannah's really good. She's like the most spontaneous person
She's
ever.
so good at
She's
that.
someone that when you think of growing up in your 20s, like that's who you want to be, right?
Yeah.
Like like she's always doing the super
I'm gonna go do
cool,
the thing
fun,
all the
yes,
time.
and she's never worried and she always is having a great time. And as much as I want to be that person, I know I'm not. Like she is always doing fun stuff like that, and I just can't.
But I think here's the difference. She's like that authentic type.
True,
I
very
think
much,
that's
to
more
her
rare.
core.
I think a lot of people do it, and it's not really their jam.
I agree.
They just do it to go with the flow. And
Just
that's
because-
one of those things.
Yes, I agree.
Vodka. I drank a lot of vodka for years, and I did not like vodka. I'll be honest. I hated it. Why
I
did-
think alcohol in general, like people don't really like alcohol. They like the
No.
effects. Like being drunk, sure, fun. In the
Being a
moment.
wine drinker, I'll be honest. Like, and then you get older, and you're like, okay, let's drink wine. Like, I don't know if it's like it's the more sophisticated, classy. I'm not
Yes.
just throwing back shots at a bar. The reality is, I think I've had probably 2 wines that I've actually enjoyed.
I know.
But those
And I
aren't
also
the
know
wines you're
because you
drinking every
brought
day.
them up.
Yes, and I was like, finally. And I said, if I'm not having something like that, it turns out they were extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I thought, why am I doing it every other time to bitter beer face, like a Pabst Blue Ribbon face every time I take a sip?
Pabst Blue Ribbon. I remember this kid that I went to high school with called it something, and I can't think of it now.
PBR.
Nor do I know if it's inappropriate or not. But you just like triggered a memory that I forgot I had.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But I agree with that. Very like Hannah is literally the only person I know who is
Right.
so just that person to her core. But there is a lot of people that just like put on this fake like facade, and I'm like, you would live so much happier if you just owned your truth. And I mean, myself included, like I want to force myself to be this person that's like always doing fun stuff. And even when Hannah asks, I'm like, I want to say yes, and then sometimes I say no and I regret it sometimes, but sometimes I say yes and I regret it. Like I am proud of myself though, because we did just go to a concert, and even that day I was like, it's not nerves, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. It's wanting
But-
to be in bed by 8. There's that. That's hard.
very much me.
But there's very few people I think that enjoy it. Like I say sporting event, and I just made myself sound like 75 years old.
Sporting
Like a
events.
football game. Like
Mm-hmm.
unless it's an experience, like when we were in Colorado and we, that was
Oh yes, yes.
like a very different experience. But I don't want to go to a local game to sit in the nosebleeds and
When
like
you can watch it.
I
and
can
see
watch
better
it.
at
Yeah,
home.
like.
And
Unless
shit
we've
is
got
free.
the tickets that are up front or, it's one of those things. Like, I don't need to just be there. I just don't.
I agree with that. For me, I think it's large friend groups, and
Oh, yeah.
forever
That's a good one.
I like wanted to be part of this like huge friend group, and
Yeah.
you grow up watching like High School Musical and
You need an
Zoe
entourage.
101, and yes, and you just see these huge friend groups hanging out, doing all this stuff. I have been in huge friend groups, and they have been like the most draining, toxic situations
Usually.
ever. Like, I don't know a single friend group where people aren't talking about other
Yes.
people. And then I would even find myself doing it because I almost felt like I had to contribute in that way.
Uh-huh.
And it was just so draining. And then when you want to go and like speak up, you all feel uncomfortable to speak up.
Well, because
and
you're the odd man out. So you can't.
you can't. And that is something that it took me a very long time to realize that, because I also thought that's what you were supposed to do
Right.
and were supposed to have, and that was supposed to be what it's like growing up, and you're supposed to all live on the same street, but that's so far, like, it just wasn't for me. And I am a very outgoing person, but I'm like an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
Because I love being at home. Like, no plans work perfectly for me. Even on vacation, I'm like, I'm here to catch up on sleep and like
Yeah,
sit
you
by a
did
pool
that,
and eat a
actually.
burger. Like, I don't necessarily feel this need to like be go all the time or be outside. No, I'm fine. doom scrolling on the internet on my phone with like 4 people, you included, and then my boyfriend. So that leaves about 2 friends.
Spots are filling up.
But that is where I've become self-aware, like in more recent years, because I know that brings me joy and that fills my bucket, and that is who I am as a person.
Yeah, but haven't you learned that, okay, so you're taught to be adoptable. Like, this is something I've really, like, honestly, I went so deep on the internet after you brought this up, because I went, wow. Like, learning to be adaptable and like, I'm going to go with, be that chick. Like, I'm cool with whatever. And then half the time you end up miserable because you're just not asserting what it is you want to do. Or even the restaurant. Like, I was definitely, like, we talked about this. The girl that was like, I'm fine, I'll eat whatever. And then we get there and I'm fucking so unhappy because I'm like, there's nothing here I want to eat.
There's always something, though, on a menu.
No, I know. But in general, I probably had somewhere in mind. That's the truth of it.
That
Instead
is the
of
truth.
just saying, you know what, this is what I really like. I just was trying to go with it. Like,
Just be so easygoing. But then at what cost?
at what cost?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is how I think I ended up in like so many bad relationships because I was just wanting to go with the flow or be, I mean, I was in a couple long relationships where I don't think they would have even started if I was more aware of what I wanted, even from the jump.
Like what?
Like,
Is there one that comes to mind when
yes,
you say that?
yes, there is. We were talking about it, and when I dated someone, and I was part of this like whole gym crowd,
Okay, I
and
know what
like
you're gonna say now.
I think there's so much of that relationship in general that I was like, if I had just spoken up, I guarantee we wouldn't have lasted more than a month or two, and it went on for almost 5 years.
What?
Yes.
You guys were together for that long?
Yes. And like I look back to so many instances and from even going on certain trips or the people I mean, I can actually clock moments where I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I'm just trying to be cool. I'm trying to be chill. Everyone wants to go. Like I can't be that person.
But then you sacrifice your
And
well-being.
maybe I would have been that person in that group, but guess what? I could have gone to gravitated to some other group that were my people.
Yes.
And like, I felt so much pressure to just be, go with the flow. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, a lot of us do that. I'd like to think I'm not the only one.
No, a lot of, yes, hello, I do that. I used to do that. I feel like I'm really good about it now, but that's also too where I come off as bitchy.
Too good.
Yeah, too good.
Easy there.
I come off as bitchy a lot of the time because I know I'm the most important person in my life.
Yes.
In the same way that you are the most important person in your life. And I am selfish. And if putting myself first makes me selfish, then yes, I'm selfish.
But that's honestly so important.
It's so important. And the way that we were taught that is like a bad thing is just so far from the truth. There are like lengths to which, okay, maybe pull back a little.
Yeah.
I understand
But
that.
it's even knowing your love language. Like if it's someone that like does something that you don't really like and you just like let it keep happening. This is why you go to the other extreme though, because you let certain behaviors go on that you don't really care for because you're not affirming like yourself, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say you are affectionate, but let's say you weren't and someone was, then the next person you go to the other extreme because now you're like, I have to. But like that's so real. And I think that's why we joke now that you're too good at it, because I think for so long you're like, I'm fine.
Yeah, because I'm just like, oh, you want to be this cool girl. And I think of, what's
Yes.
that movie? Gone Girl. The like monologue where she's like, cool girl.
No.
You know?
No.
Oh, gosh, well, I can't think of what her name is. But
Quick, take another sip. No, I'm just kidding.
it's like this whole monologue that my friend and I would just joke about. And
Yeah.
it's like at the beginning of the movie and she's like, cool girl. I can't think of anything else. So
I'm going to have to look
make
it up
it
now.
funny. But so self-awareness at the very basic level is just like knowing your likes, dislikes, beliefs, morals, like all these things.
Like sensory overload, like even little things. Like I wasn't until later that I realized, like, remember you have one friend that I really like, but I'm like, she's just really loud all the time. And there's nothing else but like her volume's always 10.
Yeah.
And for me, like it drives me crazy. Like
It's, like, very
literally,
overstimulating
it's
for
too
you.
much. But I even now at my age, like I'll say something. Do you know how long I would have said something and just let that like wear on my fucking nerves? Like
no, yeah. And you
crazy.
also have to, acknowledge all of these things before you're put in circumstances that are like when you're just at home. Yes, it's easy to practice this, but it's also a lot harder, and you have to like implement it more when you are in environments that are testing those likes. And
well, and I think by not speaking up, you end up in environments testing that. Because if you're just like, okay, like the restaurant, I'll use a very small one, but like if I spoke up and said, you know, let's try this restaurant, then we can maybe talk about a compromise versus going to the one that I definitely don't want to. And then now I'm just in that fine mood. I'm fine.
Which is horrible. You do not want to be around for that.
You have your fine mood too, Bianca.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just end on that strong note.
Bianca. Honestly, if I have a daughter, I should just name her Bianca. That would be iconic.
Because she will be a lot like you, but
let's hope.
Yeah. But I think that those elements of just knowing that much about yourself, and it's like what you're willing to tolerate, what makes you happy. Like it doesn't, I think that without being assertive and positive that way, like that's where it becomes a negative all the time.
And that's everything also goes back to the tips for your 20s episode, because it's like, you have to also surround yourself, like set yourself up for success. You have to surround yourself with very like-minded people who are also going to support you in everything you are doing.
Yeah, but to be around those people, you have to know what you like.
Yes, exactly. But don't just be like, it's fine, and still surround
yourself.
Don't
look at me when you say that.
I'm gonna look at you. And don't, like, you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you.
I just said this yesterday.
Because I'm the one that taught you this. Like, don't.
No, but it's so true. And I think that we end up on the other extreme because I will speak for myself. Ended up, I feel free to chime in on the other extreme because I've not been good at saying, you know, it's everything from my boundaries to my Starbucks order. Like I have to know, you know, and it's not to be so rigid too. There's that part. There's that piece. Like, don't be so, this is what I like and nothing else. You know,
you are kind of like that. You are.
Okay, but I will say I am at times,
for that.
But I think it's a result of not being that way for so long.
Maybe
that now it's like I feel
like to overcompensate.
Yes, and it's everyone around me who has no clue, and maybe someone who I just met is like, why is she like that?
Yes.
But they don't know that I was too passive too agreeable, too willing to go with the flow.
Yes. So that being said too, in order to become like more self-aware, I think you also like, it can't just be so drastic and you like cut off all your friends right away. Like there has to be steps in which this is happening. That way you don't crash out.
Or just learning to say no. Like again, one of our past episodes, it's like, that's where you learn to say, you know what? No, thank you.
No is a full sentence.
Yeah. Like, and you just, because you don't really want to do that.
And your people will understand.
Yes.
Fully.
So obviously, I think when we jumped in, now this is kind of circling back to that test we took that I've got beef with. I'm going to take it again because I'm not sure that I completely love.
You can't take it. I mean, sure, you can take it again.
Well, okay, so did I find, so what test was this again?
The Enneagram.
So
yeah.
So we took this test that breaks down personality types. And noticed.
Let me
go ahead.
Preface it by saying, it's not a box. That's what you are, I think, getting very upset with. It's not like you're not confined to it.
I can
but it's a mirror. It's like a reflection. It's like insight to who you are. And it's 180 questions.
I know. And so there were many questions where I felt like there was 3 parts. 2 of them I could agree with, but not the third. Right? Did you have that a lot?
No. It was like, yeah. Or honestly, most of them were absolutely or no.
No.
For me.
It says like when you're irritated, are you like quiet, silent? Then it says like aggressive. Like I could be quiet and silent, but not aggressive. Oh, wow.
Okay. So we took this test and I made my mom do it. I did make you do it a couple times because.
Well, you can find it anywhere online actually, but there's like free versions.
Free versions too. You just have to like enter your email and find a credible source. Listener.
But there were 8 personality types.
The personality types include I feel like
here she goes. Get the soapbox out.
Medieval times where they're like with the
Hiri
scroll.
Go.
Yes, a scroll. The reformer, the helper, the achiever, the individualist, the investigator, the loyalist, the enthusiast, and the challenger.
Okay, Riley, tell us more about you.
I feel like you should go first.
Okay, so I will. So mine was the helper.
See? Oh my gosh, that is so me practicing my personality already.
They make you sound so positive, though.
Mine is, we'll get into that.
Yeah, it says making others your priority, very hospitable. You help give yourself
Okay,
to
what
others.
type are you? Let's
The
start
helper.
there. Did you say that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, I'm just practicing.
Self-sacrificing, lover, kindness. Okay, all this is accurate though. But here we go.
Here we go.
You need love, and you
in.
feel like people expect your help. But when I read the longer version, it basically really sounded like I was very thirsty for love and would do whatever it takes. And while I felt resentful about that, because while I am that person that will
Yes.
help others to a fault, to when it even impacts
agree.
myself.
There's like good things and bad things about
If
both,
I'm not
everything.
receiving it, I'm more the one to like
Draw back.
draw back, not continue to try
I
until I
agree.
get it. So that's where this is like, hit the brakes. That was kind of not.
You're not like, no, but like, you know.
No, I
agree.
won't keep trying. I'm going to be like, go F yourself, you know?
Yes.
Like, I'm
But
done.
At what point does
Okay,
it
that's
take
fair.
to get there? Because you
Maybe a
will-
lot. And maybe it does take a lot.
Like, people will take advantage of how kind you are and how much. I mean, look at your family. Like, not
This
in a
is
negative way,
true.
but like they see that you are willing to help so much. And
I
they
keep
take
doing it. Yeah.
advantage of
Like,
that
I think of a
kindness.
time specifically. I remember when I was moving Nana and Papa, and I was going through my infusions at the time. I was
Mm-hmm. Yes.
doing, this is the blood and iron infusions that I was doing, transfusion infusion. And I would come after sitting for 4 or 5 hours,
When you were like at your weakest.
literally,
truly.
and help them move.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was just our family helping them. And I was
And-
really sick, and they were still very angry with
really sick.
about
And the
moving.
apartment that they were living in before, like their house, it was, I mean, literally rotting from the inside
Yes,
out.
it was a horrible situation. I found them this amazing place to live.
So nice.
And so I just remember trying, like, I'd move a box and have to sit down because I felt so sick, and they were
Yeah.
still angry. But, and like, I went back the next day
I
because I
know.
felt like, okay, they don't have anyone else helping them. No one,
Yeah.
it was just us.
I know. And that is, I mean,
So
they
yes,
were
that part is right.
That part is very right. I mean, even like past friends that you've now cut off, I have seen them take advantage
This is true.
of.
But you're
your
right, it does take a
kindness.
lot.
It takes a lot. You will, but it's like,
and that's-
you're getting handed like those toy scissors that
Yeah.
kids in kindergarten get that like barely cut,
And
you
then
know?
all of a
and then
sudden-
eventually it works, and then
That's
they're cut
fair.
off. That is what I do think you're the helper, and I don't know it. Do you think that's changed since being a mom too? Like, do you think you've always been like this, or do you?
I think I've always been like this. I
Yeah.
think when I'm read more about this online, like it gets into like as your childhood and why you feel like you became this type. Like it's actually like really interesting.
Yeah.
And so yes, as a child feeling like you need to win over a lot of people because of certain surroundings and people in your life. So that tracks 100%. Like
Well, you
that's
talked
a
about
whole
it
different
too
show. But
in
yeah.
the generational trauma episode, like if you also felt this pressure, even from
Yes.
a young age, to feel like you have to stand up. So now that is where you, like, you take on that role in every other
Definitely.
aspect.
But I think just be like, I always joke actually with every doctor I see him, and I'll say, oh, I'm a better caretaker than a patient because,
Yeah.
you know, and so
Fully.
that I do own that a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not thirsty for it. And I like to definitely.
you're not
If anyone
thirsty
reads
for
that
it.
description, like it made me crazy yesterday. I was like, wait a second.
I know. She was like upset, and I was like, no, you have to. That's again, it's not a box. It's just like
I
a
know.
reflection.
Well, yours
And-
was so flattering.
No, but there's parts where it's literally just how you like perceive it.
Yeah.
You know? So mine is type 8, which is the challenger. And the challenger is a natural leader. They're quick thinkers. They're protective and assertive. They make their presence known. They
Toot
love to be in
toot.
charge. I love to be in charge. But it also says I need to learn to pick my battles. That is very true. I have always just been, and I don't know like how this personality was formed, but I don't know if it has to like do with being an older sister but I'm very much like I take on that leadership role in every aspect of my life.
And well, even okay, so I'm gonna go to the pick the battles because
Yes.
when then we can go back to the other ones. Like even when you would talk back to me younger, but that was an element about it though, because you were so intent on being heard and like I am gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be that bitch, and then you would die on that hill.
I would die on that hill. Were you like ever proud of me though?
Like
for
low
being,
key, I was like there was your 8th
wow,
grade teacher. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh.
And he called me one day, and we knew him because he was also a dad at water polo. And he calls me and he goes, I swear to, like, I promise you, if Riley talks back to me one more time, she's going to spend the rest of the semester in the principal's office. And then I was like, I wanted to be like deny it, but
so mean. Like
low key, I knew it was 100% true.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Mom, on the other hand, you've done a wonderful job. She does not back down, and
do
she's
not
definitely going to
back
be the woman
down.
that stands up for herself. And I was like, wow, this is the most confusing parent phone call I've ever gotten.
100%.
Like, don't know how to react.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Thanks.
bye.
Question mark. But even younger, like talking back, I knew I was going to, and this is not to condone
No.
abuse, like, but every once in a while, like a little slap on the face, like it's character building, and I see that now.
Yes.
There are definitely ways. I don't know if I would slap my kids. Granted, I don't have kids yet, so I can't speak.
Wait till they talk to you the way you talk to me.
I know, because I knew I was a bitch. But
It was bad.
I would like get on my soapbox knowing I'm about to get slapped in the face, even with braces on. And if you've been slapped in the face with braces on, it's the worst feeling ever.
You act like I wound up and like it was horrible.
No.
Don't say that.
But I knew I was gonna get slapped, and I would die on that hill on my soapbox.
You would go so hard though.
and I would make sure my point was, and I would just stand there and just like brace for impact.
But I learned what things worked from. But even then, trying to get you to back down, you like have had this strong, assertive personality.
Forever.
Since you could, yeah, it's
to where like I'll also make up my mind, and I have been really trying to be better about seeing other people's perspectives and to pick my battles. Like for example, in my relationship,
yes.
and it also comes with like being secure in a relationship and just growing and getting older. But in other relationships, I would pick like if you did something to piss me off, I would tell you and I would let you know. Now I'm like, you know what? No, we can literally let this roll off our back. Like it's fine. This is not worth mentioning, and that is something that we talk about because he says he like lets stuff roll off his back too. But then I'm like, what do you mean?
Then he's like, do you remember that one day 3.5 weeks ago at 6 p.m.? No, I'm just
that
kidding.
I used to have people like exes do that, to where I am just assertive. Like if something really bothers me, I will bring it up in the moment. If I don't bring it up, you will never hear about it again. I do not like when people do that.
I don't either.
When they're like, oh, do you remember that Tuesday afternoon when it was kind of cold but kind of not? And I'm like, you can't
like
just
on your,
bring this up.
You're on
in
your
the
third
heat of the
tortilla
moment.
chip and salsa, and
I'm like,
No.
what? No.
but at the same time, it's been really positive. Like, do you remember? Okay, like junior lifeguards with captains.
Yes.
Like you took on that role, and mind you, I felt like every kid that was in that program at the
Yeah.
time, it's changed a lot. But at that
Yeah.
time, when it was very rigorous,
And very like competitive.
I felt like every kid was a natural leader in that program.
Well, because captains too is like your last year of junior guards. It's not to toot my own horn, but it's like the top of the top, like most athletic.
You have to
most
qualify
smart.
just for this group.
You're interviewing, you are like doing a series of athletic events throughout the week to qualify. And if you don't even qualify, you're not getting an interview. And even then, you still have to pass the interview and a test.
Yeah, and well, even the events, the physical events have changed so dramatically. But everyone in that program kind of rises to that challenge in a leadership role. And even then, I felt like you rose, like you went even higher than that. Like you,
But it's not like
not in
I'm
an arrogant
consciously
way.
thinking
No.
like I'm going to do this and I am going to prove it
No.
to everyone. It just is so. I feel like I do have a commanding presence and I am well received.
Yeah, I think
don't
it's
think
again
it's-
about always proving it to you, not anybody else.
I agree.
Because you get it like this thing, like it's that
And
crazy
that's where
in
it
your
can be
head.
also negative.
It can, but I'm trying to bring up a positive instance because it was. I mean, look at how, even when you guys were qualifying, remember with Lizzie?
Oh, it was the last day. So the last day we had a pier, jetty pier. So you had to swim the pier, run.
Which is like what, a mile, right?
No, it's like quarter mile or so.
Around?
I mean, yeah, I think it's, I don't know totally the length. I've been so out of it now that, I mean, you could have asked
It's
me, like,
exhausting.
it's exhausting. And again, swimming in the ocean versus swimming in the pool is very different. Like, you could be a fast pool swimmer. You get in the ocean.
It's like running uphill.
Night and day.
Yeah.
And then you would swim the pier, run to the jetty, which is 6 miles on sand, and then swim the pier again. And we had to do it in an hour and a half. And I remember I finished it, and it was Lizzie, who wasn't like that far behind me, but I knew she wasn't going to make the time. So after finishing, I went back and okay, this is also too,
I'm gonna cry again just thinking about this.
I went back and I like got her and I was like, let's go, like, let's do it together, you know, because I don't want, like, we're all waiting, like, I'm not going to. And the reason it was so special is because growing up, Lizzie and I had played water polo together, and the water polo world in Southern California is so
very small. Yeah.
And her and I were very similar.
Just
so
very combative. Yes.
We would bash heads growing up, like, same skill level, same.
Just a lot of competitive, like, spirit between you, and not always great because you're still girls. Like,
it was.
But this moment was a very positive leadership moment. Like, you going back, and I'll have to like include a picture because I think every single person was crying.
Yeah.
It was very emotional, but you ran back after all that, which was already kind of batshit, let's be honest, because it was exhausting.
Yeah.
Grab her by the hand and run over the finish line. I mean, I'm getting like just thinking about it. And that was awesome. You know, it was like, you're a better leader with people than ahead of them, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And that is just something that, like, literally in every aspect I have practiced. And it just comes very natural. It's not something that I feel like is forced. I'm not, like, consciously sitting in my rooms, like, plotting out how, like, it just is. And there are positive and negatives to everything. Again, I need to, like, reiterate, because I feel like we really need to draw this home. But it's not a box, it's a mirror.
Yes.
But that being said, too, it is free. Like, you should literally go and take it.
Well, it's a good place to start. Like, when you realize a lot of these things and trying to learn this about yourself, like, obviously it's not a how-to. I just thought it was a helpful tool.
It is a helpful
I wish I would have had it a long time ago. But it's even now, like, honestly, even since you brought this up, I'm going to be so much more aware. I mean, everything, like my coffee order, my routine of, like, hey, I did know this growing up, like, I need to go and exercise in some way so that I don't want to hurt anybody else. You know, there's certain things, but I would always give up or negotiate with myself that they weren't important when they were, and I didn't realize how much they affected like my happiness, how I chose my friends, how I chose my relationships. And it's like, you don't realize how those tiny little decisions dictate whether you're going to be a happy or miserable person on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. And I just want to end it by saying, have you heard of habit stacking? Where basically, like, you pair a new habit with something you already do on a regular basis. That way, when you go to implement this new habit, it's a lot easier.
Like what?
Like, oh, every time I brush my teeth, I'm going to take 2 minutes to myself to just acknowledge, like, and practice gratitude. Like, something like that. Like, okay, yeah, you have to brush your teeth every day. You're already doing that.
You're
implementing.
I love this.
So that is a way, habit stacking, and it doesn't need to be drastic. It can literally be like that. But that is ways where if you're spending more time with yourself, you are going to become aware of the things that fill your bucket and the things that don't, and the things that you should be drawing closer to, and the things that you should keep at arm's distance.
I love that.
Yeah. It's so important.
Make my little list when I get
Yes. But listener, you are the most important person in your life.
Yes.
And you need to spend alone time with yourself and set boundaries, and no is a full sentence, and all of these things.
And you can start, like I said, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, and at right now, and I'm like, what, twice your age. And I felt like such an aha moment that's taken, you know, again, a long time to get there. And it's like, wow, if I just stick to those things, like, it actually affects so many more people than just myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being agreeable is not always the answer.
No, but take the Enneagram test. Let us know. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening to the I Did It First podcast. I'm Riley.
I'm Anna.
And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.